if you could map out your perfect year using the stars. Our guest today is here to show us exactly how you can do that yourself. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, and transformational coaches, as well as spiritual entrepreneurs, stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible on the Gnostic TV network, leveraging podcasts and our huge audience. Today, we are chatting with Carolina Velis. She is known as the spicy mystic with a knack for blending humor and depth to make astrology fun and accessible for beginners. She's passionate about helping women align their lives with astrological women, astrological wisdom to manifest their dreams. Welcome to the show, Carolina. It's really great to have you here.
Hello, thank you everybody. Hi, Jill. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about my favorite subject, astrology, and how I've used it in my world and how I came about it. So happy to be here to share that with others.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you the big question. Are you ready? Okay,
Sure.
what's the most significant thing in your opinion as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Oh boy. Actually, questions. I feel like that's my mission in life is to help people understand their most authentic voice and mission in life. Our natal charts, our birth charts is that blueprint. I feel like it's our lottery ticket to life. And when you start understanding it, therefore yourself, you can start to see how you can best navigate life and also come to terms with some peace of like you're not meant to be others, you're only meant to be who you are. And it also adds another layer of compassion because you've realized like, well, hell, and I'm gonna curse here, sorry folks,
You're
but
good.
hell, if if this is what I got, then what do other people have? And it gives you that sort of grounding perspective that we all have a challenge. And if you could just see that it's all within this beautiful chart, that it's within everybody else because we're all the same thing, right? We're all just made from energy and we just have a particular kaleidoscope that's being expressed at this time as you. And but at the end of the day, we're still all that same light. So that's why I love astrology. It's that place of self-development, self-awareness, but also then looking at timing. Because ultimately your chart is a clock. And that's one of the things that I was like, what? But it's clock, it's many things. And what I mean by a clock is that, every single year, it's your birthday, right? And it's because the sun has returned to the place where it was when you were born. But the moon does that too every single month, and it comes back to when it was when you were born. And same with the other planets. And some planets you'll never fully see its full rotation around your chart because it takes forever to do that. Pluto would be one of those. And so understanding that this is a clock for timing of activity, of when to rest, of when to look for opportunities around a particular section of your life makes it so much easier to focus your time instead of wondering when is this going to happen or when could that happen. And sure, I believe in magic. I do magic myself and I do plenty of manifestation practices. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're working with the stars, and when that energy is aligned, it's aligned, and you can see it play out for you. So yeah, it's a great tool to have in your back pocket. And one of the things that I teach people, and as beginners, because most of us are obviously beginners when we come to astrology, we don't know what it means. And so most people are like, I want to get to where you're at, Carolina. I'm like, that's years of obsessive studies. So let me just give you a quick tip if you're listening out there. Your birth chart basically says according to ancient astrologers, that one section, a house, which is where things play out in your life, gets activated for 1 year. Okay, so that means that your entire chart from start to end gets reviewed every single 12 years, right? Step by step, the first house, the second, the third. And so, based on how old you are, that house is activated, and then you could see its quote unquote ruler, which is the planet that's the boss for the year, that's your guide. And that's the thing that you should be tapping your energy towards. So if it's, for example, a Venus year because your Taurus or Libra is activated for that year, then you're going to do Venusian things. And what are Venusian things? Well, most of us are very comfortable with that because we love to get pretty. We like to put on, dress up. We like to indulge in our beauty and our self-care practices, relationships. Perhaps some of us having a shopping addiction. I would say, roll that back some, but that's Venusian activity. And also money. So if it's a place for you to really focus on money, then you should be looking at what are my money blocks? Am I worth what I say I'm worth? Am I following through with those activities? So it just gives you so much more focus. I don't know about you, but I've done, my yearly plan back in the day. I'll be like, this year I'm going to apply, and I've got a plan. I've got 90 days. I got my bullet journal, boom, and I'm going to have like all the check boxes. And then like a month in, it was like, nope, that's not happening. And so everything that I laid in never came through. And that's part of my astrology, and which I wish I knew ahead of time that I'm not meant to go through a straight line. I have to go sideways and explore before I go straight. And that's disappointing. For many people, it's really
What is your
disappointing, but
astrological sign?
I'm a Cancer sun.
Okay.
I'm a Cancer sun, Pisces rising, Libra moon, and I've got a lot of air and a lot of water. And I've got a lot of outer planet activity in my chart. So I'm an interesting person, if
Yeah,
I would like to
sounds
say
like
it.
it.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's what I would like to tell people. It's like you don't have to worry about all these other things if you could just focus on one thing. And especially nowadays where our brains are so distracted, we're being pulled in so many directions, and I don't see that really ending anytime soon. If anything, we're needing to practice more how to be in the body. And so this focusing on the one thing helps you to come back into center into one thing that matters because not everything matters in life. Like if you realize that day to day, you're like, you're right. Most of what I carry on my shoulders does not matter. Just let it go and just focus on the one thing you're meant to be doing. And that your chart will tell you that every single day, every single year, and for the rest of your life. And you can go down this path what you and I were talking about, like, did I pick this? And then you're like, okay, well, that's an interesting conversation. Like, why did I pick this? What should I do with this? Because we're all gifted. That's the other thing that I like to remind people is that we all come in with gifts, many, many gifts. And much of the time we lose sight of these gifts when we're young because we're then having to relate with others. And so filters come in and we lose sight of these things and we leave them aside. But then it's not much later until we get into our mid 40s when our midlife transits happen, when people start to realize, like, hell, I shouldn't be married to this person. I actually like these type of other individuals, or I'm in the wrong job, or I'm actually really psychic and I've been suppressing all these sensitivities. These are the things that you can really start exploring at a young age if you're willing to. So
It
that's
really
why I love
helps
to teach astrology.
if you can help your kids,
Yes.
because a lot of times in the past we've had these taboos about astrology, and for religious reasons or whatever reasons, we just want our kids to be good,
Hmm.
follow these lines
Right.
so that you don't embarrass me. But
Hmm.
if we take away the boundaries and say, okay, let's look at your chart. How are you supposed to be? And
Hmm.
let's lean into that. Imagine where these people will be as adults, young adults, and then older adults, if they know the kinds of people that they naturally, not should, but they naturally are attracted to, because we all come here with certain characteristics that are often, we're told to, don't be that way. Well,
Oh yeah.
you're
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
supposed to be that way.
Hmm.
You're that way for a reason. And we
Absolutely.
need you as the world, the collective, we need you to be that way. We need to stop telling people, don't cry, don't Don't follow your dreams because you can't make a living at it. What? You can make a living at anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be one way. And I love homeschooling. I love all of the ways that we can help kids explore who they are. But bringing it back to the astrology piece, if you can equip them with, hey, here's the love note you sent yourself before you came.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it means. Then they don't get to be 60 years old and they're looking back going, oh yeah, I see where that happened, and I see where that happened. And man, if I'd have known then what I know now, I might have made a different turn, a bunch of different turns earlier on. So imagine how much
Yeah.
power we could give our children if we could just like help them with this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's at the core of what I teach people. I have a monthly membership for those listening, and my monthly membership is for generally for spiritually curious women, but I don't really care. Like if you identify, then you identify. I'm cool with that. But the goal is for you to understand these, what you're speaking to is like these dynamics that are set within our charts. And you can see even our relationship with our children, if you do have children, and how that plays out in your own life as well as in impacting it their life. I feel like for some individuals, when they choose the path of parenthood, many times the children that come in is for some level of recognition of lesson in that soul's life. You know, if it's especially if it's an opposite, right? Because you're like, oh, and generally if it's opposite, it's because you have to learn something about yourself that you're not necessarily cool with, right? And so it's projected out, and then there's this individual here to remind you of these things about yourself. And it's a wild journey if we could just empower our children with, like, hey, it's okay to be emotional because you are an emotional being. Here's your chart. You have a lot of water. You have a lot of areas that require this level of expression. And here's your gift because each of the signs has a beautiful gift. None of them are not worthy. And some for us, depending on your chart, may be really annoying because you're like, I don't understand that, right? Like, say, like air oriented individuals, if you're like an Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini, you live in the realm of the mind. And if you are very emotionally centered, oriented individual, you're not going to vibe with that. You're going to feel that as an offense, as like very disconnected, as or like very foreign to you. Like, why don't they even think about their heart, or can they feel the emotions? There's nothing wrong with these things because guess what? You also have the air signs in your chart. You just don't know that this is what's happening. So yeah, the astrology realm um, is a great tool for us to use for answering those questions, for us to find where we're meant to spending our energies, as well as a little bit of like, I mean, you could future trip with it because you could obviously look at the future with it, right? And, not just the past. And I would say don't spend too much time with that,
It's a
because
good
it can bring up a lot of trauma that we don't need to necessarily like, live in at this time.
you can look at the potential. It's not nothing is ever set in stone, but I think
Exactly.
knowing what your natal chart is, the earlier you can know what's how your life is projected to flow easily. and
Hmm.
and that's how I will put it. It's projected to flow easily in this way, but as individuals, we're also flowing through a larger, like communities have astrological signs, and towns, and countries, and the whole world, and different. We move as a collective of humanity through signs. Like, we're talking about moving into the age of Aquarius. um it it's been happening, and it's going to continue to intensify, and there's things that happen overall where we're just one individual, but we're important as that individual
Hmm.
in the whole overall process. So it's like all the little gears in the old clocks.
Yeah.
It's not a clock is is only a clock because it's got all of these different things that are moving at different speeds, and they move the face of the clock or the hands around the face of the clock.
That's right.
So
Yep,
it's
that's right. It is, and that's a great way of looking at it because we are part of a larger story that's happening for humanity. And if you could just understand that just your one grain of sand that's going through this tunnel of change that perpetually changes. That's the other thing that people would like to just have done is for time to stop, and that's not possible. We're not meant to stop evolving. Humans are meant to evolve, and we have been evolving since day one. And this next round of evolution will take us to a whole nother level of what humans may look like. We don't know yet. We can um I like to always look at science fiction writers because they seem to always get it spot on right. Right? Are we manifesting art or are we art? Like what's happening here? And yeah, it could be more robotics individuals, like embedded pieces of AI, of mechanics inside our bodies. And some will gasp and like, oh my God, oh no, never. And I'm like, just remember, we've been modifying
already
our
happening.
bodies. Yeah, exactly. And it's been going on since we first installed a heart into our bodies. If it started, we started modifying our bodies way back in our ancestors' times when they elongated the necks, when they bound the feet, when they did scarification on the body, which we still do, tattooing. I have them, right? Earrings, all these things. So this is just the next tech, right? We're moving from an analog to a digital to a quantum level of experience. So there's a lot of fear of what that may look like. But yeah, astrology tells us that we're moving into a realm where things are going to be much more electrified, more connected, more driven towards the community level. And that requires that old structures come down. And we're very tied to old structures, many of us, including myself, right? We say, well, we're not, but we are. So yeah, we're at that juncture of big change and I'm here for it. That's why I'm here.
I think a lot of it is also recognizing that change is happening, even in our clothing. And this is
Hmm.
something that people don't really think about, but clothing and glasses and jewelry, when you wear stuff on your skin, it has an energy of its own that
Hmm.
it's causing a resonation in your body. And like different fibers have different frequencies, and
Hmm.
they it's all part of this larger picture of what's happening in the world. And it really does all start with what's going on in the heavens. And it's not just stars, it's stars and planets and how they're, and the
Hmm.
sun and the moon and how they all
Hmm.
are sitting and moving through these 12 houses. And it's a beautiful dance.
It is.
And
It is.
getting aware of it is huge. I do want to ask you how you help people in terms of understanding their own astrology. And I know that you work
Sure.
mostly with people that are just starting out, which is it's so great. So many times you meet astrologers and they're like, your head is swimming after talking to them for 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I have a monthly membership where individuals can jump in and learn on self-paced the basics of astrology. So I teach them, for example, a way to learn the zodiac, which is a component of astrology, one of the main components. The zodiac is the signs, Cancer, Libra, Aries, so on and so forth. I teach them first the elements. So earth, air, water, fire. Why? Because that's like a very basic way of organizing all the information. And then I teach them about modalities, which is another way of understanding the science, which is how do they operate? So why do we have three water signs and how do I remember the three? And so you remember them because each of them has a different modality, but they also have a different planet that is rules by them. So it's step by step teaching for them. First the elements, then modalities, then we get into the planets, then we get into the houses. But in that wave, I also give them teachings like what I just taught a minute ago about annual perfection. Well, that was that the trick I just shared, where one house gets activated per year. It's an ancient astrological technique for timing. And so I add that in so that they can have a real-time experience of what a transit looks like without having to wait, right? Because it is a journey. You do need to learn eventually all 12 signs because they exist all in your chart and or in your body. And so people are like, in my body. I'm like, yes. All 12 energies exist in your body as well as all 12 planets. And so it's a step-by-step process. And then each month we meet in person over Zoom. And then quarterly we do ritual meetings. And then as well as part of that, they get monthly videos and workbooks for them to learn that archetype for the month. So the idea is for them to proceed in this process. And as the program develops, there'll be more defined lanes, for example, of like, okay, I want to figure out what my career path is versus my children versus my creativity versus blah, 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 right? Because the chart can and does represent basically everything in life, from birth to death. And we can talk about that too. I can show them like major medical problems that have shown up in my chart, major death issues that have happened in my chart too. So, like, it's all there for us to discuss if you're open to it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how do people how do
How did I
people where do
join?
people yeah, how do they join and where's
Sure.
the best place to start for them?
Yeah, so if you'd like to sign up for my freebie, which helps you plan that one house or area that's activated for the year, you can go to questmystic.com/C as in cat, Y, P as in Perry, summit, all one word, two M's, summit. So CYP Summit, and that'll give you that freebie. And if you're interested in joining, my website link for that is questmystic.com/join UPC. And that stands for Unveiled Path Circle. That's the monthly membership. And we'd love to have you join us. We have a meeting coming up shortly, but it's every single month. And yeah, I can help you get started and where to begin with this weird diagram, like that's the first freeze point of like, I don't even know what is this? It's like I see
It's a
these
lot
lines
easier
and
than
these
human design
glyphs.
though.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I have a friend who's a human design expert, and I look at mine, I'm like, I'll stick to astrology things.
And if you're
I don't have,
interested in getting into human design, the first place to start is with Carolina, who's going to show you like the basics of astrology. Just start there. Don't let your mind get blown by all
yeah,
of these other
exactly.
aspects.
Yeah, and it can become very basic. And it's one thing that I try to urge my students is don't tackle the whole thing. It's too much for your brain to comprehend. And really what you're learning is intuition. Because at the end of the day, I am teaching you how to get in tuned with your own energy and your own body. And what a gift. What a gift to be able to say, like, oh shit, that's my blah, blah, blah triggering right now. Like, I can personalize it that way because I know that's part of who I am. My partner is also very astrologically attuned. And so we have these discussions. I'm like, your Virgo is driving me nuts right now, yo. Like, I can't get more efficient with this stuff. Like, so it's so wonderful for us to have these shortcuts because it really is. It's a shortcut of communication between us. And so when you ask me what my son was, you may have an idea like, okay, this person's watery and nurturing, but that's it's just a small glimpse of so much more that's there. And so I'm curious to hear what your sun sign is.
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces. Yes. Yes. So since March of 2023, I bet things have been full force for you. Yeah, she's nodding her head
Yes,
yes.
exactly March of 2023. That's when I started the podcast, actually.
I bet you did. Yeah. And for
My
those
whole
listening,
world
why do
turned.
I? Yep. Yep. So why is that for those listening? Because Saturn moved into Pisces in March of 2023, and Saturn is the opposite energy of Pisces. Pisces would like to live in the woo-woo and the fantastical and the illusion world of dreamings and coming up with ideas, but then Saturn's like, you got to bring it to reality because guess what? We live in the world of reality, material reality, you know. I haven't been able to teleport yet. Someday I will, but when we do that, we're not going to be in a Saturnian world. But we're in a Saturn's world. So when Saturn came into Pisces, it was like, hey, Jill, you have those dreams. It's now to make it work. Isn't that
Yep,
beautiful?
it is so beautiful. I think it's going to be there for another 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
No, Saturn will be moving on to Aries this year for a few
Okay.
months and then go back into Pisces, and then it'll be the end of it by 2026. It's a 2.5 year journey. So it'll go into Aries. And but now that you know that feeling, you know, like, oh, that's Saturn. I know that now. Like, okay, so I need to be disciplined and responsible. I need to have a plan. You have the drive to move it forward. You know, you're not lost in this illusionary world, which Neptune has been sitting in Pisces for so long, where I was like, oh my God, I have no direction. I just want to sit here and meditate. Like, what in the world is happening?
Yep. My life in a nutshell.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, my God, when will Neptune leave Pisces, which will be happening again this year too. That's why 2025 is really important. We're having some monumental changes that we haven't felt at a collective level like this in a long time, and it's all happening at the same time. So it's going to be palpable.
Yeah. And it doesn't take a lot to feel it.
No, well, you're attuned. You know, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. You came here with all the signs within you. And so you have a big repository of information, wealth, well, whether you know it or not, right? It's there.
I find that I also I'm drawn to Pisces and Pisces are drawn to me, which is why
Mm,
I often ask people what their sign is. It's
yeah,
like on my Facebook, the birthday thing.
yeah.
February, the end of February and the beginning of March is like I have so many people to wish happy birthday to. The rest of the year it's smattering here and a smattering there.
Yeah, I've noticed many Pisces-oriented individuals coming my way. I have Mars in Aquarius, so I have a lot of Aquarian, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus people that come that way to trigger that Mars energy that I have. So yeah, I track this. When I meet people, I'm like, I wonder what part of our charts are aligning and playing here and why we're vibing, you know? And this is what people need to understand. It's like when you're around somebody and you're like, I don't know, something seems off. It's there's something
It's off.
happening in your charts. It's so wild. So
And
yeah,
it's okay to move away from them because it's not your time to be together.
yeah, that's
It,
right.
knowing astrology really gives you permission to be yourself, but to lean into your intuition because you can force things, but probably not going to work out all that well because it's a struggle, and there will be a cycle where it's now it's time,
That's
like you were
right.
talking about,
Yep.
2023. I just knew. It was like I didn't even have to think about it. It was just like, okay, now's the time. And it was in March
Yep.
because I go see my dad in March every year. And it was right after I came back from seeing my dad, I started the podcast. It's
Hmm.
like so crazy
Yeah,
how that works
it's
out.
it's such a beautiful it is. It's and that's when I really went full hog on starting my business. And I had been in this la la land for a while. I'm like, oh my God, what more? And I was talking to my therapist about it. I was like, what should I do? And like, you just all you can do right now is just sit and play. And not many therapists will are that attuned with like that's what you really need to do is to allow yourself to be at a place of rest and tapping into whatever makes you happy, which as adults we don't really learn, uh, we don't remember how to do. So yeah, if you're
Yeah.
out there listening and you're feeling like no direction, and you have ideas, but you can't find the motivation to start. Just give it time because if these things do pass, unless you're depressed. If you're depressed, that's a different story, right? And that can come with it too. Saturn is a very heavy energy that some people respond as depression.
But
Yeah.
knowing what's happening in your chart really helps you to take steps to get help
Yeah.
or to relax into it. Because sometimes
Yeah.
a lot of it is just like not fighting the energy that you're in, just accepting it and in using it to its best advantage. Because there's an advantage, there's a gift and a curse in everything. It's just which one are you going to really lean into,
hmm
and it will help you balance out the thing that is causing you distress. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So if you haven't gotten, maybe if you're listening, this is your clue. Learn your astrology and stop
yeah,
listening to the meme lands out there in social media. My goodness.
yeah, to get off
Yeah.
to fears,
Yeah.
false evidence appearing real.
Yep. That's a good one. I love that one.
Thanks,
Oh,
Carolina, for
yeah.
joining me today. This has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
No, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, it's my mission to help people break through the fear of discovering this for themselves and normalize it and make it less jargon heavy, like we can all become our own astrologers. Um, you don't have to be an expert to utilize it, that's for sure.
Yeah. So to learn more about Carolina and to get access to her free Plan Your Perfect Year in an Hour, visit questmystic.com. And to get the Plan Your Perfect Year in an Hour, visit questmystic.com/CYP Summit. And we will
See
put
what?
those.
Sorry to correct. CYPS. Oh no, you got it right.
No,
CYP
CYP
Summit.
Summit.
Ah, you got it. Thank you.
Okay. Almost threw me off there, girl. All right. We'll put the links in the show notes so you're sure to get to the right place. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at Jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.